The topic we'll be discussing today is building and running an effective and profitable digital marketplace for food commodities. In the wake of COVID-19, a global pandemic that has made everyone to stay at home because of the peculiarity of how it is spread and how deadly it is, the food sector has seen a shift in the way business is done, how commodities are traded, and how food is made available to consumers. My name is Victoria Madedor. I am going to be your moderator for this session. Thank you for joining in. What is digital marketplace? So we'll be having an overview of what digital marketplace is. There's a difference between the digital marketplace and your regular e-commerce. Interestingly, we have three distinguished panelists with us today that will be sharing their experience about their digital marketplace. We have with us the CEO of Organic Shoppe, Nigeria, Moyo Salami, Femi Aiki, who is the CEO of Foodlocker, Nigeria, and Gbenga Ogunbowale, the CEO of EPower, Nigeria. They will give us real life experience of how they've been able to use the digital marketplace to create market share, generate revenue, and sell goods, food produce. Digital marketplace is a tech-enabled trade transactions where goods and services are traded either visually or physically. It involves business to business or business to consumer. A lot of us are conversant with the business to consumer interface. The likes of the Conga, the Jumia are popular interface that we are used to. For the visual ones, we are also used to the Uber and the GoCada as an e-commerce platform. The beauty of digital marketplace is that it empowers and drives transition to a fairer, more inclusive and robust national and global economy. It has no differentiation between the large, the micro, the small, or the medium enterprises. We're all on the same level playing ground. Although an e-commerce website is a singular vendor website owned by a particular person or organization to sell specific produce, where their cash flow is utilized to acquire this produce and showcase it on their website. But a digital marketplace is a collection of different vendors showcasing their products at different prices, more or less bidding for their value differentiation. They create their own markets within the marketplace. They can be differentiated based on their packaging, their pricing, their customer service excellence, or their product. The marketplace allows everyone to share infrastructure. It also reduces the cost of startup for new entrants. It is like a plug and play setting where you have your produce and you need a place to sell for people to access it. It also stimulates collaboration between players in the food sector. In the wake of COVID-19, the digital marketplace has taken priority in the way business are transacted between business to business and business to consumers. It commands a higher traffic, it commands better pricing, and it also reduces the interference of middlemen between business to business or business to consumers. The efficiency of a digital marketplace. We will say a digital marketplace is efficient when it's able to meet the needs of consumers. It focuses on creating loyal consumers. It takes quality consistently and ensure that the photos that is showcased on the website, on the marketplace, is a true representation of the produce. It also allows us to provide information about the produce to consumers. Statistics shows that 67% of marketplace are generating more than 50 million US dollars annually, while the blue chips are generating over 100 million annually. Now, the red represents the medium, the micro, the small, and the medium enterprises. They are able to interact with at a distinct equivalent and level playing ground with the large enterprises. The factors that determine success of digital marketplace includes mostly depends on trust. Consumers should be able to, or your buyers should be able to trust your produce because they cannot see the produce physically at the point of buying. Unlike the traditional marketplace where you see what you are buying and you're able to attest to the quality and the standard on the face value. The reach of the digital marketplace is 2 to 3 times higher for business to business than for business to consumers. Some of the business executives in the agribusiness sector believe that digital marketplace are successful because of the convenience it offers consumers. This cannot be overestimated at this time, knowing that everyone is at home. What is the future of the digital marketplace? Focus says that globally, 40% of transactions will be done online, while the B2B online market will be worth 1.2 trillion US dollars. However, for anyone to be able to tap into this $1.2 trillion, you need to understand the infrastructure involved the people that are currently playing in this sector and how you can harness this infrastructure. The good part about the marketplace, it fosters collaboration between business to business. Although there's a rise in specialized marketplace, like you see the Apex, the ComX, what they do is strictly dry produce. But to be able to be competitive, it is important that we spread our niche as the owners of the infrastructure. Without trying to bore you too much and allowing the experts in the sector to speak more to these benefits and how they've been able to harness the digital marketplace, I would want to highlight the basic benefits in this document. One, digital marketplace enhances connectivity and capacity building. It enables micro, small, medium, and large-scale enterprises to get goods sold online to consumer more efficiently and timely. It fosters collaboration between players, thus reducing post-harvest loss. It also supports online growth and builds consumer trust because of the traceability and return policy of the produce. Digitalization increases the scale, scope, and speed of trade. Having said all of this, I would like to open the conversation between the panelists so we can hear first, have a first-hand knowledge from those that have successfully utilized this digital marketplace. The popular marketplace for B2B will also be highlighted and why its advantage. We will hear from Mr. Gbenga, who is in charge of EPower, an infrastructure building company, a digital infrastructure building company in Nigeria, how his organization has been able to harness and provide platforms for business to transact in this pandemic period. Mr. Olugbenga, if you can hear me, good afternoon.
Hello. Hi, good afternoon. Hi, can you hear me? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Please, can you tell us about EPower and how EPower supports the digital marketplace? Your
Okay,
experience thus far during this pandemic period. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay. So EPower is a digital agency that connects businesses with customers. Essentially, we do that through digital solutions like websites and mobile apps. And of course, the goal is to bring businesses closer to customers. Now, the world is a digital village right now. It's been for a long time, but this pandemic has really put digital at the forefront of business. And talking about some of our past experiences, of course, in the past and even to now, we've built mobile app for Fanfare here in Nigeria, quite a number of clients. We build also web applications and websites. Now, the goal is not just building these things for building. The goal here is really to help those businesses facilitate transactions because the thing is, if you're not online right now, as a business, your agribusiness, especially we're talking about having an online presence, is the fact that your business can run nearly 24/7. The fact that you don't have to be on the phone explaining what you do every single time. The fact that people can find you on Google because guess what? The very first place people find out about you, about your brand, usually is Google, except maybe they get from a friend, right? But it's usually like Google. So if at all doing the digital is important to your business, this pandemic has shown what's not be online right now, right? And so, the first thing is relate to that, especially as regards to the product calls or event center, are actually going to come out to pop up. That's like the power of digital, the fact that people can find you regardless of where you are, right? So it's not so much of having like this massive physical business and not having an online presence. Thanks to the pandemic.
Hello. So we cannot hear Mr. Gbenga at the moment. I am sure we're having connectivity issues. Mr. Olufemi, please, if you can hear me, kindly come
Yes, I
online.
can hear you. I can hear you.
Please, can you share with us what you're currently doing? Give us an overview of your organization, what you're doing during this pandemic, using your digital marketplace, Foodlocker Nigeria.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me. So Foodlocker basically is a farm produce and consumer goods aggregator for large and small buyers. During this pandemic period, we've been able to expand our business to Lagos. So we're previously based in Ibadan, and part of the work we've been doing has been to focus on how to support customers, so both large buyers and small buyers, but focusing more on the supply side. So we spent 2 years just focusing on the supply side to make sure that we can support customers effectively. It just happened that during the pandemic period.
I can hear you, Mr. Olufemi.
Okay, great. So it happened that during the pandemic period is probably the period at which sort of like nature was calling us to expand beyond the limit of where we had operated prior. So since then, we've been supporting customers in Abuja, Port Harcourt, Warri. We started in 2017. We're now pretty much across Nigeria. We don't necessarily need to have footprint across Nigeria in terms of warehouses or stores, but we deliver across Nigeria to several places using the logistical infrastructure that currently exists. And all of this would not have been possible without the power of technology and without the power of the e-commerce as well as the digital marketplace technologies that are available. Now, I was super glad when the moderator was discussing about the difference between e-commerce and digital marketplaces. I wish I could take a poll, but from the participants about what they think Amazon is. Is it an e-commerce or is it a digital marketplace? Maybe people can take that poll as we go on. But the core is really that most people don't really understand that Amazon is actually a blend of both. What do I mean? So when you go onto the Amazon website and you want to buy products from Amazon, you would find some products that are Amazon inventory, which means they are actually owned by Amazon. So it's like your typical ops market or your typical e-store. And in addition, they have a marketplace model that allows third-party people, small businesses, MSMEs to sell on the Amazon platform. So that's the same sort of adoption or the same system that Foodlocker runs, which allows us to be able to open up our ecosystem whenever we need to, and to be able to maintain very strict control on our suppliers. Because one of the major problems with marketplaces is quality control, ensuring that you can control your suppliers and ensuring that people are not ripping customers off and unfortunately putting your company into disrepute. That has been some of the experiences we've seen with some of the marketplace models that we've seen across sub-Saharan Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you for highlighting the difference between marketplace, a digital marketplace, and an e-commerce platform. I'm sure a lot of people are happy to know that there is a huge difference. But I want to also ask, what is the cost implication in starting an e-commerce platform versus hooking up on a digital marketplace? What is the benefit of digital marketplace over e-commerce platform? Thank you.
So that's a great question you've just asked. So either model you choose to adopt would have its own benefits and its own disadvantages. One of the major cost implications of you running a typical e-commerce platform is really that you have to incur all the cost of the inventory. So you're taking over the end to end. So which means all of the inventory has to be paid for by you. Even though there are alternative financing models for that, you could actually leverage on accounts payables. You could leverage on having third-party companies, and I think supermarkets like the likes of ShopRite, etc., are already used to this kind of model where you essentially give space to a third-party company that wants to sell in your supermarket, and they would basically just display their products on your shop floor. You could do the same thing, even though in an e-commerce way, which means all of the inventory comes to your warehouse. But for a marketplace, the inventory doesn't necessarily have to come to your warehouse. So which means the inventory cost is not your business. Basically, you just take care of the infrastructure, like you were saying. You take care of all of the logistics, the delivery. You take care of all of the customer ordering and the payments and the settlement of the vendors or the third-party players, etc. Now, both of them have different methods or different ways of looking at them, and there are peculiarities. I would say one of the major peculiarities is that marketplaces do best in societies where trust is not an issue. And I'll give you examples. So I cannot trust that if I buy a widget from Alaba International Market over the phone, that the widget is going to work. Because I just cannot trust it, because that's the environment in which we are. But if I were to do the same, for example, in the UK or in the US, they probably would give me 100% money back guarantee, which means I still can trust them because of the sort of like the kind of environment, because they have laws and rules that prevent, people or suppliers from ripping off customers. So both of them have their pros and their cons. They have their costs and their benefits. I think it's just important for each person to decide on what applies for my business, what applies for the product I'm selling, what applies to the market I'm approaching, what applies for the channels I'm using, before taking a decision. We at Foodlocker, we decided we're going to be at the interface, which means we're going to play the e-commerce game for products for which we know that we need to play the e-commerce game, and we're going to play the marketplace game for products we want to play the marketplace game with. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Olufemi. That was very insightful. Trust is an issue. I would want to have an insight from Mr. Gbenga, but before I go to him, I want you to explain how we can build trust in between the farmers and the marketplace. Because at this time, we believe that collaboration is what will foster growth between players or actors in the agribusiness space. Now, can you elaborate more how we can stimulate a trust relationship in the sector? Mr. Olufemi, did you get me, please?
Oh yes, I got you. I thought the question was to Mr. Gbenga.
So I said, Mr. Olufemi, can you explain, having experienced
Oh,
the marketplace and the e-commerce platform,
yes.
how do you think we can foster trust between the farmers,
Mm.
the logistic um, personnel, the the marketplace? How can we foster collaboration and try to mitigate that trust issue? Because you said that is key in building a successful marketplace.
Okay. So I think that's a great question. One of the things I experienced, so I used to work for Amazon in my former life before I decided I was going to start Foodlocker. I think one of the core things which I observed that they did was that they worked very closely with those suppliers. And it's the same thing we have to do here locally. Um, if you're, I'll give you an example. So if you want to sell oranges to the United Kingdom, or you want to sell yams to the United Kingdom, they have specifications in terms of how long the yams have to be, in terms of how big the oranges have to be, in terms of what's the sugar content of the orange, or what's the acid content of the orange, etc. And all of these countries have different specifications. If the farmer has produced the farm produce and they've already harvested, it's already too late for you to control that quality. So, which means you have to work very closely with the farmer even before they plant, which means you're going into the market, you're trying to understand what are the demand requirements. So, for example, demand requirements for chicken, it could be 1 kilogram chicken, it could be chicken cut into 4 parts, it could be broiler chicken, it could be layers, it could be cockerels. You're taking all of this demand information and then you have to take that to the farmer, which means you're influencing the farmer, you're supporting them in the production process. This is the best way to build supply confidence or trust on the supply side, which means you're working with them, you're showing them exactly what they need to do, you're supporting them where is required. For example, we at Foodlocker, for example, we support farmers with funding. We support farmers with what we call scientific production methods. Most farmers, for example, for crop produce in Nigeria, don't even understand that there are specifications or there are production requirements that they have to adhere with, or there are specific soil characteristics that they have to watch out for when they are producing specific crops. So it's really about working with them and making sure that they have the best knowledge that they can use. We have a bunch of technologies that we use to support this kind of farmers. On the customer side, which is also a very good part of the trust, which is probably the most important part, um, you would have a lot of people who would complain that, oh, I bought this thing on this platform and they failed to deliver, or they delivered the wrong thing to me. Um, there must be a lot of quality control on the part of the ecosystem manager, which is the marketplace owner or the e-commerce owner. You have to exercise control. You have to ensure that customers get value for their money. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Olufemi. That was very insightful. Um, Welcome, Moyo Salami. I realized you struggled to join us today. We're sorry
Yeah,
about
I'm so
that.
sorry.
We're
Yeah,
sorry
I'm so
about
sorry. I think
that.
I have to
And,
apologize. Good
um,
afternoon, everybody.
good afternoon. Please, could you give us an insight about organic.org, organic shopping?
.ng.
.ng,
We
oh, sorry.
organic.ng and
Organic.ng,
organicshop.us. Okay,
yes,
good
organic
morning.
shopping.
Good afternoon, everybody. So, so yeah, organic shop. So we have organic shop in two different countries. That's we operate in Nigeria and we operate in the US. So for Nigeria, we actually started off in Nigeria. So Organic Shop is we are the largest organic online store. So basically, what we are actually focused on health, majorly on health, and like the word organic. Even though it seems like everyone uses the word organic without understanding the whole in depth and the core about it. So we are all about knowing that health does not have to do with just skincare or just food. It's like a total package. So when an online store for everything natural, healthy and organic, from food to skincare to hair care to hygiene to emotional healing and all of that. So, but for organicshop.us, we're majorly promoting organic and natural products from Africa.
Thank you very much, Moyo. Let's go back to Mr. Gbenga. Gbenga, please, can you elaborate on the back end? Let us have an idea of what happens at the back end to foster collaboration between the owner of the marketplace and the vendors that want to play in the digital marketplace. I know that there is a B2B and a B2C marketplace. Could you tell us the what differentiates this marketplace and the how the interface works back end? Let's just have a quick. We might not be able to understand some technicalities, but have an idea of what actually happens in that sector. Thank you.
Okay. All right. First of all, I want to be sure that you can hear me very clearly. So can you hear me very clearly, or do I need to turn off my video?
No, I can hear you perfectly well now. I think your network is back.
All right. Okay, all right. Okay, all right. So B2B, B2C. B2B simply means business to business. B2C means business to consumer, right? So in a B2B market, essentially, like you have a business serving another business. A good example would be EPower, for instance, right? We build websites, we build mobile apps, we build digital solutions, and we primarily serve websites. We rarely serve individuals, like rarely. It's usually more businesses. And even when we serve individuals, there are people that run like businesses. For instance, we worked on Taiwo Luga's campaign. Taiwo Luga is an honorable in our house, and we worked on a campaign. Now, we essentially worked with a campaign team. So it was not like we were dealing with the individual, we were dealing with the campaign team, right? So that's a business to business. If you're looking at a B2C, which is business to consumer, that means that the business is dealing directly with the consumer. And I'll use some of our clients, right? So we have a client that sells lubricants, the Fanfaro, and essentially they deal with consumers. So their customers are people that mechanics, you have car owners, Okada riders. So they are dealing directly with the market, right? So for Foodlocker, for instance, right? People go to their website and buy, right? So as a business, they are dealing directly with consumers, right? I don't know if they also sell to businesses, right? Because sometimes you can sell to businesses and also sell to consumers. So that's a B2B2C. That's possible. But usually most of the time, businesses either deal with other businesses, which is B2B, or you deal directly with consumers, which is B2C. Now, there is no right or wrong way. You don't necessarily have to say, oh, I want to be B2B, I want to be B2C. It really depends on the kind of market that you're in and the kind of profit margins that you're looking for and the dynamics of your industry. So there's no hard and fast rule to say, oh, maybe B2B is more profitable or B2C is more profitable. It really doesn't work like that. It depends on your industry and what you're trying to sell.
Okay, so thank you very much. With the rise or increase in demand for everyone going digital, right? Because if you are not digital today, then you have crisis trying to sell off your produce. We're seeing a lot of social media cry for help. How much does it cost to start up your own digital marketplace or to onboard players onto the digital marketplace? Do you have an open source that someone can easily log onto, or it has to be specific?
Okay, so usually when we work with clients, we do bespoke, meaning that we work based on the specifications. Of course, you have to fill a brief, and then we look at the things that you need. So it's really bespoke from our end. That's the kind of work that we do. Now, in terms of the pricing, I really cannot give you like a blanket price and say, oh, this is it, but I can give you a range. So in my experience, if you want to build like a mobile app, maybe it's for farming, the marketplace for maybe fish or egg or something like that. If you want to build a mobile app, your budget should not be less than 800,000. Your budget should not be less than that. It should start from like around 800,000. It's possible you could get maybe 500, 600, but 800,000 is a serious budget going up. Now, if it's a web app, because there are mobile apps and then there are web apps, which means like, for instance, your bank, when you go to your bank and you type maybe uva.com or a UVA group, and then that's not a website, that's like a web app, web application. So if you intend to build a web application or maybe an e-commerce site, you really, depending on the features and the things that you want to do, you could get a pricing as low as say maybe 300, 400,000, but depending on the features, then it begins to rise. It could rise to as much as say 950,000 because web apps are not equal. So think about building a website or like building a house. They are not the same. Depending on the kind of features that you want, the kind of things that you want, the kind of integration that you want, those are the kind of things that will determine the pricing. Also, some of the factors determining the pricing include things like the manpower required, the time required, right? Some of the integrations that you have to do, some of the purchases that have to be made in terms of plugins and things like that. So those are the things that factor in, right? So it's almost impossible for me to give a blanket price, but then with the features, then we can, of course, guide and say, oh, yeah, this is what it will cost you. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gbenga. So it means that as a startup, for me to have my own e-commerce, I have to buckle up. It is better for me to join a digital marketplace like Organic, Shoppe's marketplace than to start up my own. So I will go back to Moyo. How do you collaborate with your vendors, and how do you, make people realize the importance of coming on board the organic.ng digital marketplace to help them grow their market share, knowing that a lot of people are crying, most especially those in the poultry and the fish industry. They are crying for help. Their eggs are going bad. Their birds they're still feeding the birds and they're not able to dispose them of. And people at the consumer end are crying that the price of these products are skyrocketing, so it's such a dilemma. How do you think we can harness the digital marketplace to grow our business as micro and small medium enterprise?
Okay, thank you very much for the questions. Firstly, I want to contribute to what Gbenga said when he was talking about building. So there are two ways to it. It's good to collaborate, like you mentioned, and I'll actually have to use a little bit of my story to buttress this, which is as entrepreneurs and then as small growing entrepreneurs, not everyone will have the funds to draw probably 800,000 or 900,000 to have a platform. So if you feel like your platform is like different or you just want to have your thing, collaboration is great, but in some cases it happens. You can start small. You don't have to go all the way. You can start from your website, because that was how we started. Like we started from a major little website and then we grew into it. So you just have to ask questions and ask people who have been in the field how they were able to grow themselves into.
Hello, Moyo. Hello.
With the way, understanding where you want to fall in agriculture, the food industry is big, it's very huge. We have the farmers, we have the transport system, we have the processing the food processors. So we actually fall under the value chain. So for Organic Shop, what we do is our own company is actually a little bit streamlined, because we only work with organic farmers. We're working with supporting and sustaining organic farmers. So what we do is, because we cannot be everywhere, and then we have farmers, we are in Lagos, as in we can't go to, most of our farmers are in the rural area because we don't have large farms in Lagos. So we can't be everywhere. So we work with the associations. We have the organic associations we work with. So we work with the registered farmer. So all the accreditations, checking accreditation, all that needs to be done majorly at the back end from the farmer's end has been sorted out with the association. So we partnered with the two organic association. So we get directly from the farmers. So another thing again is, as a micro, as a small business and SME, just like you said again, I'm going to buttress. I'm still going to emphasize on collaboration. Most farmers need off-takers. They don't want to grow And then because it's actually a whole lot of work. You're going to work on the farm, trying to work on because the farm work is a lot. Having to plan, get seedlings, nurture or whatever, nurture your chickens, raise them, make sure that a whole lot, and then you're still having to stress yourself over marketing, trying to deliver, trying to work on packaging, labels, designs. Is just a whole lot. So the value chain, there's so much in the value chain. There's so much in the value chain. So most of the farmers don't want to go through all the stress. They don't want to go through all the stress. So we just partner directly with them, and then we just offtake. We offtake. Then people, you also mentioned about farm produce going bad. Then we actually have a program where we call minimizing agricultural waste. So we have, because the organic world, I will only have to talk more about organic because that's our own space. It's kind of a little bit small and growing, and then Nigeria, we're just getting so used to it. So most times when we get produce from farmers, or some farmers grow over, they have more farm produce and they're unable to probably sell or have to dispose it or whatever. What we do is actually we have to dry those farm produce. That's how we minimize. For example, you have lime or you have lemon, we have to dry it, or we have plantain, or we have we have plantain, we have to dry, we have tomatoes, we have pepper. All those things they're perishable, so they don't stay longer. So instead of it having to stay with the farmer and then it goes bad or we're unable to sell, what we do is we just dry it, then we now sell them in powder forms. Then that's how we have, for example, moringa leaf, dried moringa leaf. We have the leaf, we have the powder. So we just process. We work more with the value chain. We just process it and make a product out of it. So we have a lot. Sometimes ideas just keep coming when we think about solution. Like the teas, we have different teas out of organic produce that we've had. So it just keeps going that way. And then they're talking about, I think you mentioned something else I've not talked about it. I think I forgot right now. So you said something else after the how do we work with people, and then you talked about pricing. Yeah, I remember pricing. It's so amazing. I think this just has to, it's almost like something we can't talk to control it. We can't talk via this platform only to control that. We just have to all work together. Because I remember when we had the issue with chicken, as in chicken from Cotonou or whatever it was coming from was banned in Nigeria. And then most farmers just, they were just becoming very difficult and almost impossible. And it seemed like you can't even get chicken. And they start giving you funny attitude. This was just amazing. I mean, and then after a while, some of them don't even want everyone to work. What we're able to do is we have a few people we work with, at least a few reasonable growing entrepreneur, because most of us just sometimes we think short term, like, okay, I just want to sell this thing and get money. Because what happens is, and that's what I keep saying when we have our own meeting, my team, I tell them that's what differentiates a Yoruba man from an Igbo person. They think long term. That's why an Igbo man, for example, will have a provision store, and it seems like in 2 years the guy has 5 other stores, because his profit is just 2. People forget that what you need is turnover. What you need is turnover. When you get 2 naira profit and you get it 100 times, or you get it 1,000 times, rather than having 10 naira profit and then it's going to take you almost 2 months to get that 10 naira. It doesn't work. It's not about the amount. It's about the consistency, the turnover. So for that, majorly we actually just work with people, and then we actually educate them on this. What you need is turnover. What we do is we encourage being an off-taker. We take out your products, we buy from you, or we pay you to grow, or to work with your farm produce, grow for us, or we just take off all you have, and then we work on how we sell them, get it across packaging and all that. And then if it seems like it's not going to stay long, we do the processing, we dry, we make a product out of it, and then we get to sell them. So that's how we operate, major like a summary of how we operate on Organic Shop.
Interesting. Thank you so much for such an interesting insight. So for us to effectively collaborate, each of us have to bring a value to the table. That's what I hear from you. You have to do your bit, I have to do my bit. So that we don't compromise on standards, we don't compromise on quality, and at the same time, we should look at long-term impact rather than our immediate gain. Thank you very much, Moyo. I will go back to Olufemi. Um, Olufemi, please, can you come back online?
Yes, please, I'm here. I can hear you.
So this question goes to you. How do you handle your vendors of fresh fruits, perishable goods? How do you handle them? Do you have your own dedicated logistics to foster your digital marketplace, or you collaborate with players within that sector to enable you keep your produce safe, hygienic, and within the recommended standard?
Okay. So that's a great question. Part of how we try to see this business is that many of the answers are not going to be this or that. In many cases, they're going to be this and that. I'll give you examples. Typically, you would have situations where the logistics players run out of vehicles. This is a typical scenario where you would see you're looking for either a truck or you're looking for some delivery vans and you can't get them because they just don't have the vehicles. In such cases, we decided we're going to make some investments, which is to have some of our own assets on the ground. This is usually not the cheapest approach, but it's the most customer-centric approach. So there's this popular interview that Jeff Bezos granted, I think it was in 99 or 97, where somebody was asking him that is Amazon an internet company, or why do they have warehouses and they have logistics infrastructure and all of that? And his explanation was the business is designed to be optimized for the customer experience. That's the same way we're looking at Foodlocker because of the customer experience. For example, in every city where we have outlets, we guarantee our customers 2-hour delivery, which means you can place your order now and you get it within the next 2 hours. This would not be possible if you're then running after a logistics player to say, okay, guys, come and help me make my deliveries happen. So it then means that you have to make some investments, which might be buffers for you to be able to support your customers. On the farmer side as well, it's pretty much the same thing. We do not just outsource logistics, but we also always have some backup infrastructure that allows us to be able to respond. And even when we do outsource, we create competitors for the outsourcing partners, which means we're not going to rely on just one person who's going to turn us down. We're going to have potentially 2 or 3 other players that we're talking to or who are ready to pick up the orders when one of the players messes up. I think somebody asked the question regarding whether how do we control fresh produce and make sure that they don't perish, etc. We do not just offtake from suppliers. This is a different model. We're a demand-driven company, which means that we first understand demand and we then inform the farmers about what the demand is about. So when they produce against the demand requirements we give them a guarantee on that demand. So for example, we have farmers who are producing thousands of chickens for us, and we've already provided a demand guarantee on those, which means for those 1,000 chickens, they are sure that we're going to pick them. It's the same for vegetables. It's the same for tomatoes. It's the same for all of that produce. So it's a little bit different from us. Many vendors would approach us after they've produced and they have issues with finding markets to say, can I dump my products on your platform? No, it doesn't work for us. It doesn't even work for the industry. The alternative to that is to get a processor to then process the produce, which is what Moyo was saying. And then they process the produce and then they put that ready for the customer. But it's usually sort of like a reactive approach based on what we've seen. We do some of that as well, but it's usually too challenging. The farmers would have lost some percentage of their produce already.
Interesting. Okay, so before we dive into the Q&A section, I really want to ask some questions, and I would like each one of you to take just a minute to respond to it from the perspective of your business. My first question is, what is your retention strategy post-COVID-19? Knowing that during this pandemic, you have a lot of traffic on your site, what do you think you will be doing differently, or you want people to do differently to onboard them, to remain permanent with you, to increase your market share, and also satisfy your customers? Please, I would like us to take 1 minute so that we can take questions from.
Can we have the question again? Because I could barely hear you at first. Like for the few seconds you started the question, I couldn't hear anything.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, so I said, what is your retention strategy post-COVID-19 as a digital marketplace? Knowing that there's a huge traffic currently on your site, the demand is higher, your market share is better, how do you intend, or what will you advise people playing in the digital market space to retain their market share post-COVID-19? Moyo, would you like to go first?
Yes, sure. Okay. You talked about retention, customer retention, so and then post post COVID. Okay, yes, of course. It seemed like a few of us, it seemed like maybe we probably arrived earlier than, because I mean, it's like you said, it was not a whole, that was the first thing I meant. Like, so not everyone was ready, everyone was comfortable with just social media. So not everyone had their website like in place for, waiting for this. But thank God for us, and thank God for digital marketing. Okay, so for retaining, like I said, our own industry is, we have a niche. Our niche is a little bit restricted, which is we work with organics. So it's not just general farm produce, like not just every farm produce can work on our. So before now, the retention strategy we have is retention strategy. It's in different from retention, like retaining customers, people coming to your website, or people even knowing you and then still having to trust your product or trust your company. Which is, the first thing is the quality of your products, the quality of the presentation. Knowing that we're even talking about food, everyone wants to be sure that what I'm eating or what I'm taking or what I'm buying is actually safe, or is properly presented. It's not being contaminated in the process of coming from the farm, or being handled by the delivery person, or you don't want any tacky person, or you don't want any tacky kind of packaging or any kind of boss. For example, if you like Femi was saying, they had to invest in delivery. It's not cheap. Like, it's eating a whole lot into, and I kind of feel like at this point it's not nice when we are being called SMEs anymore, because the kind of investments that go into having to be in place, it's a lot. So the first thing is, for us, making sure that our products are proper. Now I want to also address SMEs or growing businesses hearing this, which is, it's okay if your product or if your packaging doesn't seem extremely great at first, but just make sure that it's neat. You understand? It's neat. And then let people who buy from you see progress. Let them see progress, because that's the thing. Let them know that you're trying. Don't let them buy something from you. Don't let them buy something from you in 2020, and in 2021 the packaging is still the same thing. Like, it's still this. You have to keep working. So one thing is, for us, is packaging. Our packaging safe, and now everyone is scared of virus and stuff. You have to also assure, and then keep making them your customers or your clients, making them know that you're working for them, and then you're also working for their safety, and you're also assuring them that your staff and your operating system, or your operating your factory, or your operating room and everything is being sanitized, is being cleaned and all that, to make sure that the food is safe and is healthy for them. And then another thing is what we are working on is how do I don't know what English to use here right now. I'm forgetting what, so it's like a point, we like building a point, all this digital, okay, honestly, we build points. Like when you buy from us, you build points. Over time, you can use your points to probably buy something from us. Yeah, to actually purchase from us, you can get free delivery and stuff. And then we have a system on our website whereby when you actually purchase from us, you, after a while, and it seems like you're not coming back or whatever, or it's been a while, you've actually purchased stuff, you get an email of a coupon email for discount. Or you come to the website, you abandon your cart, and you didn't come up, you're going to get an email, giving you you abandoned your cart, and then you can get this. So when you're working digital, you have to know that it's more like your website is like you, it's your person, because that is the first thing everyone sees. That is the website. The website is it has to communicate what you do, whereby it's like I'm meeting you for the first time. It's a whole lot of work, yeah, but it's a work in progress. But you just have to make sure that your website says everything. And then another thing, I'm trying not to give too much information, because I mean some things are just like restricted to the company's backend secrets.
Yes, I totally understand you.
So majorly, how to just retain your customers' pricing. Nigerians, you have to understand the market. And that thing that also works for me is because now we work with two different audience. We work with the US audience and work with the Nigeria audience. You have to understand your audience. Nigerians love I wouldn't say cheap, but they would want affordable, not extremely expensive. Yeah, because if you say cheap, I've actually got to know that it's not just about cheap, because you might go because there was a time we were doing discount, and people still were, because when we built our website is 6 years this year. When we built our website at first, it seemed like we were doing discount because we wanted people to come, but it still wasn't working. So you have to know what works for your audience. And then it's also nice, we can actually ask questions. You can ask direct questions. How do you think we can serve you better? What do you think we can improve our product? So customer retention is just about customer satisfaction. What your customer, your niche, what do they want? What's their expectation? What do they want? What do they want from you? What are they expecting? Are they satisfied? Are they not satisfied? What exactly do they want majorly? And then we work with pricing, we work with packaging, we work with proper communication. It's a whole lot. Just like Femi mentioned as well. Delivery, people ordering and then delivering in 2 hours is a lot. That's a whole lot. Not everyone can actually achieve that, but you can partner with him and ask him, because if he has a platform or he has a structure for delivery that does that, I'm sure because that's like a business inside another. That's a logistic business inside in their own company. So you can actually partner with him, and then you have that sorted out. So delivery, product presentation, product quality, and then frequent communication.
Thank you very much, Moyo. That was indeed very detailed. What I understood from you is that you are operating an e-commerce space where you ensure that there is quality. You ensure that the pricing is right, is affordable, the delivery is on time, and the packaging is presentable in an hygienic and safe environment. So we'll go to Mr. Olufemi to also tell us about his retention strategy. And before we take Mr. Gbenga, please, we would like this to be fast because we have a whole lot of questions that needs to be answered, and we want everybody to get a piece of understanding from this session. Thank you very much.
Right. Thank you very much for that question. So our retention strategy at Foodlocker is really embedded in our sort of value chain optimization approach. What do I mean? Because that sounds like a lot of basically, we've seen a lot of inefficiency within the value chains. So you'd see that the farmers are losing their produce. You'll see that the logistics system is messed up. The farmers cannot access credit. You'll see that the storage systems are messed up, and a bunch of other things. So we have decided that at Foodlocker, we're going to focus on the customer experience by improving the value chain. Part of that improvement means that in Nigeria today, on any platform in this country today, we have the best prices anywhere. And that is not because we just choose to lower prices. It's because we actually have the value chain optimization technologies as well as the processes in place that allow us to be able to grant such prices. We also do very good margins based on that. In addition, it also means that we're super focused on the customer experience. Every customer gets an opportunity to express their feedback to us. So every time you place an order on Foodlocker, once the delivery happens and we confirm the delivery, you get an email that sends you a survey for you to just tell us exactly what's your shopping experience and what are the challenges or bottlenecks you have. There's an online platform there. So we focus pretty much on that experience, the shopping experience. People feel that when you shop online, it's supposed to be more expensive. It's a myth that we have been able to start Foodlocker. It should actually be cheaper because you operate on a lower cost base. You don't necessarily have to open up big supermarkets, etc. So you should be able to pass that over to your customers. In addition, we have what we call the Foodlocker Ambassador Program, which is already going viral now. And the purpose of that program is actually to allow customers to refer other customers to us and we would have had to delight those initial customers for them to refer other people. If you refer a customer to us through the ambassador program and that customer shops, you actually make money. So which means on every purchase that person you referred makes, you make more money. And that customer gets a 5% off because they've come through you. So we've got this decent package that allows people to want to stay with the platform and to want to be with us because we want to delight them.
Thank you very much, Mr. Olufemi. That is quite interesting. I'm sure everybody got that part. Become a Foodlocker ambassador. You get 5% off. That is very interesting. Thank you very much, Mr. Olufemi, for sharing an insight on your retention strategy. Mr. Olugbenga, we will take your insight. Please, after Mr. Olugbenga, we will have a poll before we take questions from people that are participating at the moment. Thank you very much.
Okay, so at EPower.ng, our retention strategy is threefold. The first is excellence. Now, we have different clients, across different industries, across agri, across transportation, across hospitality, different clients across. Now, the thing is, because of COVID-19, some of our clients are badly hit. For instance, we have a client in the hospitality space, and essentially they do bookings, travel agency, right? Now, nobody's traveling, right? So obviously, their income has dropped significantly. So one of the things that we did for them was some of our services, they're on a subscription plan, one subscription plan. And last month, we gave them a waiver. We sent them an invoice, they expected us to follow up, and we're just, telling them that, no, don't worry, we know you're not like this and all that. So that's customer service, right? You need to show that you're sensitive as a business owner. You need to follow through, because if you're trying to say, oh, I'm going to milk my clients, I'm going to make as much money as possible, this is a period where it's so easy to lose clients because money is tight, especially for some certain industries. And so that's one thing that we're doing. We're really paying attention to our customers. We're doing exceptional customer service, for customers that need some space. We, allow them, on a normal day, we know that these customers don't owe money. So even if they have to owe, or if we have to give them a waiver, we are doing everything we can to make their life easy at this time. So that's customer service. Another thing about customer service, which is also part of our retention strategy, is that we actually go the extra mile. Now, I know everybody says that, but let me just give an example. So we usually have WhatsApp groups for all our clients, meaning that for every single brand that we manage, We have a WhatsApp group where the CEO will be there, the key people, maybe marketing, all the people that need to be communicating with us are going to be in that group. Now, can you imagine that sometimes by 1 a.m. they are dropping messages in the group asking for things to be done? I mean, this is crazy, right? And then sometimes, of course, the natural reaction is to be like, what is it? Sure, we will not sleep again, but of course we don't say that, right? So sometimes I wake up and then I see those messages right in the middle of the night. I will get them done, and I will hear things like "thank you." Now the thing is that some of those customers have brought in other customers for us, without necessarily asking them, right? They just go like, "Oh, you need this service? It's EPower should talk to you. You need a website, you need mobile apps, or you need superior social media management. You should talk to them, right?" So I think customer service is key, and that's one of our key retention strategies. I can tell you that during this COVID-19 era, we've not lost a single client, not one. Right? And I think customer service is part of it. Another thing is excellence. Now, when I say excellence, what do I mean? The thing is, there's this joke in Nigeria that when you order something online and what you get are usually two different things. It's a common joke. I don't know if you've heard it before.
Yeah.
And I know friends that have ordered stuff from, I don't want to mention the name. We all know the name of the popular e-commerce stores, where what you see online versus what you get, two different things. Now, what we usually ensure is that when we show customers, especially when we're building apps or websites, when we show them the mock-up and we say, oh, this is what we're going to deliver, right? We ensure that that is exactly what we deliver, right? So that, we don't give customers high blood pressure, because sometimes this is something I've noticed about, businesses, small business owners. Sometimes when we deliver something and our clients don't like it, we go like, hey, come and take your money now. No, it's not about the money at that point. It's about the time that you've wasted. You wasted the client's time. You wasted their energy. They could have taken their money elsewhere. So it's really about delivering on your promise. If you know that the money that you're charging for a client or something is not sufficient, it's better you don't take that job than for you to take the job and then you are grumbling and then the customer is not happy. I think that's really key. I think we should be people of excellence. So that's one of our retention strategies. And then finally is knowing your target audience. I know we're out of time, but I just wanted to say that it's important that you know your target audience. You're not sent to everybody. As someone in the agri value chain, for instance, you cannot attempt to serve everybody in the market. You need to know your target audience, because different target audiences have different spending power, purchasing power, right? They have different habits and different behaviors. So if you try to target the entire market at once, it's really going to end in tears, because you're not like Amazon where you have a lot of firepower, to spend money and all of that. It's trying to change customer behavior is just a waste of time. So focus on that customer segment. When you know your target audience, I think you'll do better. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we are going to launch the pool now. It's just 2 questions. Please, we want everybody to participate. Thank you very much. It will take just 2 seconds. And the pool starts now. Please, the pool is on the screen. Kindly vote. We have almost 80 participants. Only 41 have voted so far. Please kindly click on vote so we can quickly round up on this and not delay too much. We'll be ending the poll in another 2 seconds. Thank you very much for all those that took time to participate. We appreciate you. Thank you very much. And the results, we saw that, yes, a lot of people knew, 49% knew that there's a difference between digital marketplace and the e-commerce. But 51% did not know before attending this webinar. So this webinar has actually highlighted the need to choose where to play in. About 51% of the participants are not playing with any digital space at the moment, while we have 49% playing at the digital space. Only 36% currently are playing on the digital space. Thank you all for participating. This shows us an insight of what is happening in the food industry for those that are entrepreneurs, what they need to do and why it is important for us to be digital, most especially at this critical time in the world. We'll be going straight into the Q&A session. There are a lot of interesting questions. The first question is going to Moyo. Moyo, please, this question is from Steve. Is asking that, are you considering some of your processed foods for export? Hello, Moyo.
Hello, I'm here.
Yes. Are you considering some of your organic processed foods for export? Given that you already export to the US, are you looking at exporting to other countries? I guess that is what he's trying to say.
Okay. If I understand the question, if you said if we export to other countries, or if we export, just exportation generally.
He said exporting generally.
Oh, okay. Yes. Everybody wants to export. In fact, that is the next big thing right now. Because I mean, I don't know if I could say this, but a whole lot of people are not going to be trusting China right now. So I mean, exportation is the next big thing for everyone who is actually smart. So there are two different category for exportation, which is we actually doing it in from another angle, like with another approach, which is everyone exports. A lot of people export from Nigeria, but we export in bulk. Like we export our shea butter in bulk. We export our whatever we export, camwood, soya beans, sesame in bulk out of Nigeria. But one of the things we are trying to change is that's why we have the US platform, which actually ships to the world. We are trying to build African's brand. We need to stop taking our shea butter in bulk to the US. And then they mix whatever out of it, and then they put on their shelf. They only recognize their own. They only recognize their own shea butter. I don't know. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. Like they bring shea butter from Africa, from Ghana, from Nigeria, whatever, and they bring to the US. And then what they do is they repackage it. And so people here don't know African products and African brands. They only know Africa. Oh, I can only trust a branded shea butter. A US branded shea butter. Okay. But yes, it's coming from Africa. So we kind of losing, we're kind of not paying attention. That is what we're trying to like correct. That's what we're trying to correct. We're trying to promote African's brand. We have our own shea butter sitting on Walmart's shelf, sitting on Target's shelf, sitting whereby you can actually the world can associate themselves with African brands and African products, not foreign brands with African products. So yeah, that's what we were trying to do. We're not working on just exporting bulk and then selling it to them to process and then sell back to us. So that's the approach in exportation we are working on right now. So with our US website, yes, we're doing exportation, but with another entirely.
Okay, so the next question to you, Moyo. So we just take all the questions targeted at you before going to Mr. Aiki. So this question is from Mr. Femi Gaffa. He said there is the glut situation everywhere, and then most especially in the poultry industry. How do you support your farmers during this period, especially during this COVID-19 period? That's on poultry glut. Another one says, what do you consider as organic? How do you standardize the word organic? And the third question says, do you consider cassava-based products like gari flour, cassava flour as organic? So those are the three questions for you, Moyo. Please, could you quickly run through those for us. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
so yes, I'll start with the word organic. So I'm sorry to say this, but organic has been bastardized in Nigeria. Everybody does organic. In fact, at the mention of the name of organic, like everyone think what you're talking about is skincare. You're talking about a bleaching cream. It's a whole lot. So to explain this, organic goes all the way down to the soil. It goes down to where the plant. So if, for example, I have this pen, and let me say this. This pen is let's say this. I'm going to be using this pen as a coconut oil. This is my coconut oil, and I'm telling you, this is my coconut oil, and it's organic. It means, the coconut that was used to produce this coconut oil was organic. And then the soil where the coconut tree, where the coconut came from, the soil nothing has been planted on that soil that has planted on that soil using inorganic whatever, either inorganic fertilizer, use the chemical pesticides or whatever, or anything inorganic. So organic is organic products. We're using the farm produce first for this. Organic product from the farm means that the soil is extremely virgin. Nothing has been ever been planted on the soil that has been gone through pesticide, chemicals or whatever. It was left to behave with nature naturally, just the way it grows. But as technology and the world is growing, of course, we have some organic fertilizers, we have organic pesticides. Some people use neem oil, some people use neem leaf, some people use neem product, because neem is plant-based majorly, not chemicals or whatever. So, and like I mentioned earlier when I was introducing myself, is we actually partner. How do we standardize the organic products we use? We actually sell or we produce, which is we work with NISAT and then we work with NAN. We work with those two bodies, and we work with their farmers majorly. So those are the two organic associations that we know in Nigeria and how we work with, and then we work with their farmers. So they have done all their work. Like, we are not an association, we are not the one accrediting their farm, but we trust them because they actually have their own standard. And then NISAT is actually in partnership with ECOSAT. So they have their own standards. So all we just need to do, because like I said, when you're in the agri space, you can't do everything majorly. So you just have to just be sure of the process that's been on ground, and then you just have to work with trust. And then of course you can actually, ECOSAT is a world-class body. So once they do that, and then we just partner with them, and then that's it. We partner with their members. So if you if you send us a mail, like, you want to work with Organic Shop, I have organic products, one of the first things we ask you is, are you a member of NAN? Are you a member of ECOSAT? Are you a member of NISAT? And that's how we work. Then for Gary, the person that talked about, do we sell Gary? We don't sell Gary on our platform right now, presently. However, we have farmers. I know of 2 farmers who actually have organic Gary, which is cassava. It shows that it means that their farmland has been accredited, and they are working with the standard, and their farm is been accredited, and they're working with the standard that works with organic, for them to be able to call their Gary organic Gary. But we don't have it on our own platform for right now. But yes, definitely there's organic Gary.
Thank you very much, Moyo. Thank you so much. We will go to Foodlocker now. Mr. Femi.
Yes,
Okay, so a question from Oluwa Mishegun said, how do you communicate with your farmers? I know it can be challenging with farmers, especially when they have to incur costs. I think he's talking about collaboration with your farmers. Mm-hmm. And the next question is, how do we join your anonymous? How do we join your platform? How can they benefit from your platform and become a member of your digital marketplace?
Okay, so great question.
One last one, please.
Okay.
Do you sell processed beef? I think processed meat. And what is your source?
Okay.
And are they safe products? Like, do they, most especially the chicken, do they follow the safety measures? The last one is, as a company that has its own branded eggs in Lagos, can this company leverage on your platform to sell their product? So I think that is the same thing as can manufacturers or farmers join your network?
Yes. Okay, so I'll start with maybe a question you didn't ask, which was that about the glut situation in chicken. I think the best answer to that is people should not create the glut in the first place. They can talk to Foodlocker and we can support them in making sure they don't create the glut, because the glut is usually a consequence of the fact that people are always targeting the festive seasons. And if something happens like COVID, which happened during Easter, there is usually a glut and therefore they cannot sell their produce. So do we sell processed beef? Right now we don't, but that's in the works for June 2020. So we've been expanding product inventory specifically because of our entry into the Lagos market. But one of the things we try to do before we start a product line or we activate a product line is that we try to capture the value chain inefficiencies and we ensure that we can serve customers very well. We actually have an abattoir where we used to sell processed meat, but we decided to shut it down because of some regulatory issues in Oyo State. Now it's probably a good time to look at it again, but we're going to look at it. How do you join our platform? It's super easy. My email, I've shared it a bunch of times. People could just email me or we have a procurement manager that they can email as well. So I'm sharing my email now. It's in the chat, femi@foodlocker.com.ng. They can just email me and let me know exactly what it is that they want to sell. We have a little bit of a strict vendor management process. So we don't just sell anything from anybody. For example, there are some products we decided we were not going to sell. For example, we don't sell catfish for very strategic reasons, but we sell tilapia. It's so some of these things are actually quite strange for some people to understand, but those are strategic decisions that we decided we're going to take. The last one is, how do we ensure? Okay, branded eggs, of course, they can reach out to us as well. One of the things we try to guarantee to our customers is very good pricing. So we've been accosted or we've been approached by people who put some branding on products and they feel that because they put some branding on it, they deserve to charge a premium. We are not in that category. We don't believe in that. We believe, so for example, you sell Gary Egba and you put a label on it and you put in nylon and you feel you can sell it at a 50% premium versus the mama in the market who sells it at 100 naira or 200 naira. So we'd like to look at these vendor situations very closely because it's very strategic for us. And then on safety and sourcing, it's really strict vendor management that we apply. So we discuss, sometimes we could buy an initial sample just to go and taste. We have some people who will taste the palm oil, who will test it, who will cook it, or who will taste other products and they will tell us whether it's good or not.
Okay, so Femi, I'll ask you another question, if you don't mind. Before we go to Gbenga, we will have another poll. But if you don't mind, I want to ask you, do you have your reach outside Ibadan and Lagos? Are you open to expanding your reach to other parts of Nigeria? Because there are some people who have products and they would like to utilize your digital marketplace.
Yes. So we just Lagos and Ibadan. we source, for example, all our tilapia fish and all our fada rice and all our gari from Ogun State. We're expanding the super strategically looking at the Middle Belt and Northern Nigeria right now. So for products like ginger, I think somebody made a comment about ginger. For products like Scotch bonnet pepper, the one you call the atarodo. For tomatoes, for tatache, the bell peppers. For vegetables, so from cabbage to lettuce to cucumbers, etc. We're super interested in more vendors as well. So we're open.
So there's partnership open for everyone. If you are a farmer, please contact Mr. Femi, contact Moyo for your produce to be advertised on their market, their digital marketplace. Before we go on, we will take another poll. Please let us quickly answer this so that we move to the next section. We'll be ending the poll in another 5 seconds. Thank you all for participating in this poll. And I will be sharing the results. We would like you to thank all of you that are not IAMN members for joining in. We have 63% of you that are not members that are online at the moment. Please kindly drop your email address, as you all agreed that you have enjoyed this session because you would like to be notified for other IAMN webinars. Drop your email address so that we can contact you and notify you. The registrar will be in touch, and the benefits of the joining IAMN will be highlighted to you by the end of this seminar. Thank you very much for coming online. We appreciate your time. To Mr. Gbenga, what platforms are available to communicate with rural farmers that do not have regular access to internet or smartphone? That is one question that is really critical, because we're talking about digitalization. We forget that most of this produce comes from the rural areas of the country, and most of them are not yet tech compliant. How do we include them? What kind of technology can we use to include them? Thank you very much.
Okay, so I think you're very right. Not all of them are very technology savvy. However, SMS is a very good platform. The SMS platform is a very wonderful platform, whether it's USSD or just plain SMS. It's a very good platform. So I think it's a good way. We should have if you have USSD services, that would be nice. But another thing is that a lot of farmers are also on WhatsApp. So I think I should mention that. A lot of farmers are also on WhatsApp. I mean, think about it. A lot of our parents and grandparents are on WhatsApp right now. So I think WhatsApp marketing is crucial, it's critical to whatever offering whatever thing that we're offering to people in the rural areas. So for me, I would say SMS and WhatsApp. WhatsApp, for instance, you can have WhatsApp groups or broadcasts, and engage with them via WhatsApp, because essentially there are masks everywhere, right? They may not have sophisticated phones, they may not have laptops, they may not be techy, but a lot of these people use SMS and they are on WhatsApp. So I think those two things, means can really help.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gbenga. So there is no excuse for you not to be involved in the digital market space. You have your WhatsApp, you have your SMS, just send a message to Organic Shoppe or Foodlocker, and they will be right there to continue the conversation with you and put your products on board their digital marketplace and e-commerce space. Thank you very much to all our panelists. You have been amazingly wonderful. There will be just one last question for all of you. Why I have a question directed to me. I will take the question. I'll answer that question live. So the question is, what is the minimum requirement for an SMME operating in food processing and agribusiness sector to be qualified for the Bank of Industry loan in Nigeria? So this is not a finance webinar, and I'm hoping that IMN will organize a webinar directed at financing the agribusiness sector. But however, I will tell you what BOI has done in just the recent times. They have reduced their interest rates. They've increased, given moratorium and waivers to businesses. The minimum requirements, you need to have your audited account. You need to be properly registered. You need to pay your tax. You need to pay your tax. It's owned by government. Please, if you're not paying your tax, pay your tax. So we like you very well. You need to also keep a proper record. Your transactions need to go through your corporate account, not your personal account. Then, above all, we need to see the integrity of your transaction end to end, where you get your raw material, how you are going to sell your produce. Because where you get your material tells us how your raw material source will be to give you your produce and the quality. It will also tell us where you will sell, will also tell us how you will generate your revenue to efficiently repay the loan. Thank you very much for all the questions that have come in. We might not be able to take every question that have been sent. However, if you drop your email address, we will circulate the questions that were not answered live, the answers to those questions to your email address with the presentation that was earlier done by myself. Thank you very much for taking out time to join this session. Our last question, before I give the closing remark, it will be to each of our panelists for today. Please do tell us how we can collaborate with you to ensure we grow the agribusiness sector. And how have you been able to finance your models that are working? Is it from equity, from debt, or from bootstrapping? Thank you very much. Olufemi, will you like to go first?
Yes, I can go first. So quickly on collaboration. Sorry, my bandwidth is pretty low, so sometimes I just try to keep the video off. So on financing, probably that's the easier one for me to answer. So both two of our co-founders used to work abroad. They came back to Nigeria to put in their money, so we did some bootstrapping. In addition, we have some equity investors, and we are part of Founders Factory Africa, which is one of the large accelerators in Africa. So they put in some money in our business as well. We also have some other funding from support from the likes of CTA, etc., where we actually won some awards. On collaboration, we've not tried debt. Potentially in the future, we might be interested in debt, which means we will probably be knocking on the gates of BOI to say we want to expand our business. In terms of collaborations, we're super open to collaborations. We always want win-win relationships and relationships that benefit the customer. So as long as we find partners that are aligned with customers, we're open to, our ecosystem is open. If people go onto our website, foodlocker.com.ng, you can shoot an email to the founders. You can actually be chatting with a customer service person and not know that it's one of the founders. So we are that engaged with the business, which means it's super easy to reach us anytime.
Thank you very much, Mr. Olufemi. Ma'am Moyo, can we hear from you, please? Moyo.
Yes, sorry, I had to use my phone, so okay. So for collaboration, it's fine. We are open to collaboration. To collaborations, we started a farm market, an organic neighborhood farmers market late last year. But because of the old COVID-19, we had to just, for contact sake and all that, we just had to like have a pause on that. So as soon as this whole thing is is a bit of an ease, we will be opening our farmers market to farmers, so everyone can bring their produce and then come sell at our neighborhood farmers market. And then for funding, we have funded organic shops solely on personal funds. So I am a believer of starting anything small. I always preach it a lot. I personally, equity is good. We're open to equity, but at the same time, I'm a bit sensitive to just equity because I have my own personal beliefs and all that. So organic shop majorly and that's why it seemed like our growth has been like very, very steady. We've just been patient with growth and all that. So we've only funded our business on personal funds so far, and I feel any other person can do the same thing.
Thank you very much, Moyo. Thank you so much, Mr. Gbenga.
Okay. Hi. Okay. So in terms of funding, we've bootstrapping essentially. So our source of funding has been more of revenue from the business, even though we did get funding from Tony Aluminum Foundation, $5,000, but mostly it's been bootstrapping funds, revenue from the business. So in terms of collaboration, we're very open to collaboration. Actually, we are very, very open. So if you have a brilliant idea, you want a tech solution, and you probably don't have all of the money, and you're looking for a way to collaborate, we're very open to it. However, I think one thing I should mention is that sometimes people approach, tech firms, digital agencies, and they go like, "Oh, you have to sign this non-disclosure, you have to do this," right? So if you approach a digital agency like EPower or any major digital agency for that matter, and the first thing you're saying is a non-disclosure or something like that, you may not necessarily get a deal. You may not even get collaboration because essentially you're saying, "Oh, this idea that I have is game changing, is this, is that, and all of that," and you just have to be open. Like, if you're saying that there's no idea like your idea, you're probably just deceiving yourself. That's absolutely not true. Now, while I'm not saying we should not protect our ideas, I'm also saying we should not be overprotective and dramatic, right? So we're open to collaboration, and I've dropped my contact details, on the chat group. So please feel free to reach out to me. We're happy to discuss. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I want to say a very big thank you to all our panelists for taking out time to be with us today. It has been very engaging. It has been very interesting and insightful. The take home for me is there's a difference between digital marketplace and e-commerce. Know your target audience. Know the structure that you want to adopt. Collaborate with your vendors. Collaborate with the farmers. Collaborate and get partners with your funders. Start small, grow organically. Thank you, Institute of Agribusiness Management of Nigeria, for organizing this amazing and awesome session. A lot of people are asking, how can farmers tell their own side of the story? I am sure IMN will organize a session that allows farmers to speak up and find collaborators. Today, we are thankful that we have partners in Foodlocker, in EPower, and in Organic Shoppe to enable us to reach more markets and to reach more consumers at affordable price. As an institute, IMN prides itself with connecting its members to markets. Currently, as an institute, they have been able to get waivers from the government to allow card-carrying members to move their produce from one state to another during this lockdown. The institute has a lot of benefits. It gives you opportunity to play with different aspects of the value chain. It is not restricted to big players, but to people that even conceive the idea of going into agribusiness. It's a place where you can learn, you can be trained, and you can have quality market to sell your produce. Thank you once again for attending this session. We look forward to seeing you next time on an IMN webinar. We will share this recording with you after the session. Thank you for coming, and do have a lovely evening.